Welcome to Amplified, the Chesapeake Public Schools podcast.
Chesapeake Public Schools is located in the Hampton Roads region of southeastern Virginia. We proudly serve over 40,000 students in 45 schools and 3 centers. Join us as we share the stories behind our story by celebrating the people and programs that make us one of the premier school districts in Virginia.
Hey everyone, this is Matt Graham here with
Chris Vale.
And in this episode, we had a great conversation about one of those always trending topics in education, which is school safety.
We were able to bring in the boots on the ground, an elementary school teacher, middle school teacher, high school teacher, and a school resource officer. They're able to share those things we can share with the community, like our new Raptor Alert app for teachers, our student ID badges initiative, and finally our See Something, Say Something.
So listeners, stay tuned to hear the collective efforts to keep our schools safe. We have a fantastic panel of guests with us. Thank you all for being here and being on the podcast. Let's go ahead and have each of you tell us about yourself, your role with Chesapeake, and how long you've been here.
All right. My name is Matt Barker. I am one of the PE teachers at Deep Creek Central Elementary School. I also serve as the crossing guard for the school, and I am their school safety patrol supervisor amongst 20 fifth grade students that I have at the building. I've been with Chesapeake Public Schools as a PE teacher for 9 years now, and I've been at Deep Creek Central for 7 of those years.
And my name is Brittany Meyer. I am an 8th grade science teacher at Greenbrier Middle School. I have been teaching 12 years and 8 of them with Chesapeake.
Wonderful. I am Leslie Sarver, and I teach at Hickory High School. I wear many hats. I'm the SCA advisor. I also help out with school activities and athletics, and I've been teaching for 19 years, all with Chesapeake. Super proud of this place.
Well, we appreciate the 3 of you taking time out of your day and coming on here. So let's jump right into safety. Safety looks different, at each grade level. Can each of you share what school safety means in your daily work and how it affects your students, maybe how it looks in your school?
I can dive right into this. So at Hickory High School, it is a daily conversation. It's something that we are able to talk with the students about, and it's something that is a top priority. I would say each semester we have grade level assemblies, and we talk about the behavior expectations, but we also talk about safety. Why do we have the rules that we have? Why do we have the policies that we have? And so you can kind of reason with the high schoolers a little bit more, and they understand the reason behind the policies and for safety and security.
At Greenbrier Middle School, it's definitely reduced and risk management. So we definitely want to prioritize safety for sure. It's definitely a top concern. And we go off of our PBIS matrix, where it's pause for success, and the S in pause stands for safety. So always put safety first, and the students are well versed in that. We do review that consistently throughout the year. And so it's really great for the students to dive in, give us their feedback, and then that goes into our matrix.
At the elementary level, we have a whole lot of safety things that we have to worry about, especially in my position as PE teacher. So I have safety in my gym. I have safety within the whole school as the whole building within every kid. And then I also have the safety of the cars in the community when I'm doing my crossing guard directing. So just having the public and the community know what our safety guidelines are and why they're in place. And then the kids in the building knowing exactly why do we have our safety regulations? Why do we have to always practice lockdowns? Why do we always have to do fire drills? At that age, they can't quite understand that real world component where like the older kids can because they can associate with it. Whereas the younger kids, they're just expecting us to get them to safety, which is our number one job. So with them having to rely on us, that's very important for us to do.
So before they can learn, safety is going to be the most important thing you can do in your classroom. You're all classroom teachers. Mm-hmm. So what's something that you individually do to make your students feel safe? And that could be physically or mentally.
So I approach it as a whole child perspective. And it's great because this year, one of the things that I was looking at Hickory, looking at the data of our school, because we are super successful in the academic arena, but where we were lacking was with that connection piece. So we implemented an advisory program this year, and we are super fortunate to have a group of about 15, 16 students in our small group area. And we get to meet with them monthly and talk about life. life stuff. So there is a curriculum that we follow. There are things that we cover. However, having our thumb on that 15, 16 kiddos is making a difference in every realm, every aspect of the high school. So we implemented that advisory program. But me personally, I just make sure that I know everybody's name. I know something about them outside of the classroom. And then that way I can also focus on like, okay, hey, if somebody's, a little funky or a little off, I can dive into, well, what's going on? But once again, just making sure that they understand that I'm here for them and I'm here to see them succeed.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head there. Relationships is what it all comes down to. When a kid can trust you, they feel that safety in you. Like if they know that they can come to you with anything, or they know they can trust you with their life and be able to follow your lead and whatnot to keep them safe, that's a big thing to do. So when I build the relationships with students within the building, as a safety patrol or supervisor, the safety patrollers that I have, I also instill all of my knowledge and expertise in that realm to enter them, and then have them also watch out for the littles, especially to keep them safe in the hallways, to keep them safe around the building, make sure they're going where they're supposed to, and make sure they know exactly what to do if things come about.
100% so. And at Greenbrier Middle School, we are definitely all about building those connections. It's super, super important, because if a kid feels that they can trust you, they're going to naturally feel safe. So building that relationship, and we use our SEL CARES check-in time in the morning. We have our homeroom and we will check in with the student. We have various slide activities in order to foster those connections so that it carries out throughout the entire school year.
Nice. And Brittany, you had mentioned earlier about the PBIS.
Yes.
For our listeners out there that might not know what that is, can you tell us a little bit more about what that is and what it's all about?
Yes, our PBIS system is a behavior management system that we use in order to foster great relationships with the students along with positive behavior. And then students get rewarded actually with behavior points with our MTSS system in Synergy. And those students that are following that matrix that we have, Pause for Success, they get those behavior points so that they know that they're doing the right thing.
That sounds great. I think that's being done at a lot of schools. I know Great Bridge Middle has PBIS.
Mm-hmm.
I think some other schools are all on that same thing. Matt, you're kind of a celebrity.
So I've heard.
Yeah, you have hit the jackpot this year, I would say. You are Deep Creek Central's Elementary Teacher of the Year.
Nice.
Yeah,
Awesome.
congratulations. I don't know if people y'all knew that, but
Yes,
he is also the Virginia Department Transportation's most outstanding crossing guard.
Awesome. Wow.
So,
Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, can you take a moment and just share what that recognition means to you?
First thing I can say is all a surprise. I mean, when I show up to work every day, I wake up every morning, I go to the job that I love to do, and I just go in and I do my job. I take care of the kids. I make sure the kids are first, go in, teach them physical activities and how to keep themselves well, as well as take my duty to heart of being the crossing guard to keep the community. Well, that includes our students, our staff, our parents, and then the community members that live in the neighborhoods around B. Like, all that's personal to me. So to be recognized for both the achievement of what I'm doing in the classroom and what I'm doing outside the classroom for the community, it means a lot to me. Like I said before, I was surprised when I both got the awards, but it lets me know that I'm doing a good job taking care of the community for our school. And I know a lot of people in our building outside in the community recognize that, and they tell me every day, hey, thanks for all you do. Thanks for standing out here in the pouring down rain to make sure that our kids get in the building safe. Or thanks for staying out here in the 19-degree weather, all buttoned up like an Eskimo, like I'm in Antarctica, to keep these kids safe and to keep the traffic flowing, because they definitely truly appreciate it. And I do appreciate the community for recognizing that I have a goal out there to make sure that things stay flowing well, to keep kids into the building. And then the kids that are in the PE classes and stuff, they tell me every single day, congratulations for being Teacher of the Year. Even though I got it back in October, November, they still tell me congratulations every day.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's been a blessing.
So, Matt, with that, for our listeners that are out there, students, parents, families, what sort of advice would you like to give them about the arrival dismissal time with that crossing guard responsibilities? What's something you would want them to know?
Patience. At Deep Creek Central, we have a very special traffic pattern. With those of you that may not know, so the Deep Creek Bridge that's been there forever is now finally getting reconstructed, and a whole brand new bridge is being built. Well, since that bridge is so small now, there's very heavy traffic in the mornings and very heavy traffic in the afternoons. So in the morning, my job is to make sure that the cars get into our building safely, and then the cars are leaving the parent drop-off line safely. But I'm also having to deal with cars that are coming in from the neighborhood to get to work on time and give into the traffic that it needs to. So I see myself as more like a human traffic light, is what it is. So it's it took me a little while to recognize the traffic patterns of how is this traffic going to flow and what's the best way for me to keep the traffic flowing. But also I have to keep walkers that come from the neighborhood. So there's a neighborhood that runs along Shipyard Road, where we probably have about 20 to 30 walkers that walk every morning. So between getting the traffic flowing from 3 different directions and then getting the kids across the street with traffic stopped too, but then getting everybody flowing again without everybody getting mad at me too much.
Wow.
I mean, occasionally you'll get the community member that's a little having a rough morning. And then I've had somebody like roll their window down a couple of times and tell me some few select words. But those things we just move on because, you know, it's a busy traffic day. They're already mad that the traffic's backed up forever on Moses Grandy, and maybe they got up late or maybe something happened. So you just got to brush those things off and keep going and keep a positive mindset and focus on the job you got to do.
So you took one of the games you probably play in PE, red light, green light, and you get to play it with the parents in the morning.
Yes. Okay, that's a good way to look at it like that.
So one thing I want to talk about, and Brittany, we'll start with you because it just came into 6th grade and it's getting ready to get expanded to all of middle school, is the Student ID Badges program. Can you tell our listeners what it looks like at Greenbrier Middle right now with the 6th graders?
I most certainly can. So our 6th graders have started it off. They wear their ID badges each and every day. I think it helps keep track of the students and ensure that everybody that's supposed to be in the building is there. And our 8th graders haven't received them yet. So I've yet to fully dive into this experience. But we did have a behavior assembly right at the beginning of the 2nd semester, just to dive back into our expectations of safety and what will be coming their way. So they do know that these ID badges are coming their way, which we're supposed to receive them soon. So I'm excited to take a part of that.
All right. How about Matt? It's been at the elementary school for a little bit. How's it been going at Deep Creek Central?
So from a safety component, it's a great idea. It's awesome for especially the younger kids like kindergarten and 1st grade, because they use them in the lunch line. They're able to just scan their badge to pay for their food or account for their food rather than having them have to type in their numbers and waste a lot of time. And back then, the TAs would have to help them with their numbers as they learn the numbers till they memorize them. And then they use it for library to check out their books to make that process go a lot faster. But as far as from a classroom, from a PE perspective, the only thing that arises to us as teachers with PE is the safety issue of it. I know that they have breakaway lanyards that they're on them, but some of those kids, they break and then they end up getting a homemade lanyard, which is not a breakaway one. So it's always in the back of our mind of what if this kid gets caught on a piece of equipment, or if a kid's running around and the badge goes away and gets stuck in their arm and then ends up pulling them down to the ground or causing a choking incident. Luckily, we haven't had any of those yet, which is a good thing. But most of the time, we tell them to keep them inside their shirts so they're inside their body, just so they're being a little bit more safe, because we know the safety component of the badges is important, especially if an incident was to arise. Like if we had to evacuate the building, then it's easier to keep accountability of all the kids. If somebody goes missing, they can look at the badge and say, okay, well, this last name's this. And then somebody could take accountability of them for their teacher.
So an important takeaway for parents: if the lanyard breaks, make sure you're getting a breakaway lanyard in there for safety purposes.
Correct, because they are still expected to wear them at recess also. So, and recess is unstructured play. So there's definitely the chance that they get caught on a piece of equipment, or, like I said, caught on another child as well. The other thing that we struggle with too is the kids keeping up with their own badges. There's a lot of lost badges. There's constantly badges in the lost and found in the office, or the kids just leave them at home. So our school actually created temporary badges for those kids who forget their permanent badge. So each teacher has a temporary badge on a red lanyard that has to stay within the building. So if the kid doesn't show up with the badge, teacher's like, okay, well, here's your temporary one. You have to get this back to me at the end of the day. That way, there's still that accountability piece. If an incident was to occur, they could still be accountable for every kid.
Okay.
Leslie, I wanted to ask you this, and honestly, it's for the whole room here. Each school level has its own unique safety challenges. What are some of those challenges that you see or that you experience? How do you overcome them?
I would say during drills, you always worry about that kid that just left your classroom to go to the bathroom or to talk to this teacher or run to the library. And so that was always a major concern, is how do I account for this kiddo? And I stress about that big time. And so with the Raptor system, all of my worries and concerns have literally gone away. We actually just had a drill yesterday, and the chat feature is amazing, because if I say, hey, I'm missing so-and-so, somebody can let me know exactly where they are. But then I don't even really have to put that in the chat, because everybody is being accounted for in the school. All of the concerns that I've ever really had are going to be gone with the Raptor system.
You want to explain what the Raptor app means for teachers on the phone and what it kind of looks like and how it works?
Sure. Not super well versed. However, like I said, we just had our first drill with it. And so what happens is once the drill is activated, it's wild because we can get it on our phone, and then we also we'll get text messages, we'll hear the sound that an alert is going off, and then we also get emails. So you literally cannot miss that there is a lockdown, that there's some sort of emergency going on. And so once we log into our app, either you can use your Chromebook or your phone. I use my phone because it's a lot easier. So I log into the app, and then I go ahead into the drill itself. I can pull up my roster, and I can account for my kids. I account for myself. I can account for any kids that I pulled in from the hallway. And then you just kind of wait, and you are being alerted each time somebody puts something in the chat. So it'll pop up. For me, it was popping up blue. And so I would look at the chat, and Mr. Giddis, who is one of our assistant principals, he was just communicating with everybody. Hey, make sure that you're accounting for people that you just pulled into the hallway, and just kind of walking us through, step by step. But if a situation does arise, that chat feature is going to be super crucial.
Yeah. Part of the takeaways that we're hearing from this, though, too, is that now we've empowered teachers or employees to call a lockdown. So you've taken away that gap of having to contact administrator or contact clerical if something was to go wrong, or simple things like there's an altercation in the hallway, you can notify security, or if a child gets sick, you can let the janitor know and they can respond. And also first responders, and we're going to have a first responder, a school resource officer on in a little bit, but they're going to be notified if there's an active threat at the building. So we're eliminating that gap of time because it's so important, those few seconds, few minutes to be able to respond. But I do want to hear, and I know Matt wants to hear, what are some challenges? What's going on at schools? We parents hear about the vaping and different things. What are some things that you might be encountering at the different levels?
There's definitely extracurriculars going on in the restrooms. And, we try to mitigate that as much as possible, and we are talking about it. But conversations definitely need to be had at home, I believe, about some of those situations. We did have a couple situations, too, that were occurring in classrooms where they're passing a vape to another student, and you don't know what is in that vape. You don't know. And I'm going to tell you, to be completely honest, I'm a mother of 3, and we have these open, honest conversations at home just to be aware that you do not know what is in the substance or what is being given to you. And so to just be smart about things. And if you do see something, you say something.
Right. At Greenbrier Middle, we definitely have had occurrences in the restroom. And I think that eHall Pass has worked really well because we can see the extent of the child and how long they're out of our classroom. And we know, hey, something might be up, something might be going on. And that way an administrator can swoop in, or a security guard or officer, in order to help us out. So I think that's been super helpful, especially myself as a classroom teacher, because I can see on my Chromebook if they're gone for a long period of time, it changes color. So it's a great indication to keep you aware too that, hey, something might just be up. Let me alert somebody.
Elementary world, we don't deal with too many of that stuff. We don't have the e-hall pass system. We still have we have the boys pass and the girls pass. One boy goes, one girl can go, and then they get back to the classroom and that. So we don't really run across those. A lot of our biggest problems that we deal with are the social problems, so especially in our older students, of the bullying. They're forming their cliques and then going to pick on other kids and stuff. That's kind of our biggest complaint, but nothing external that comes into, at least that I know of, from the external world into the elementary world. It's just keeping the kids socially active, but what's socially acceptable is not socially acceptable.
I think it's good too. At the high school level, I do know that the PE and health curriculums are covering vaping and the effects that it has on your body. And that could very easily start at an elementary level, go through the middle school and beyond, is just taking care of yourself, being healthy.
Right. You're already talking about how you're promoting basically a culture of safety in your schools and in your buildings. Are there other ways that y'all are doing to help promote that culture of safety in your building?
Well, she mentioned the see something, say something. That's at every single building. We have posters all across the wall. If a kid sees something, say something. But because they need to know, a lot of times, especially at the younger ages, because there's always that snitch component if they end up finding out. So it's the letting them know that it's okay to tell an adult if you see something. They're not going to be like, hey, Johnny came up to me and told me that you did the X, Y, and Z. That's not how we treat it as adults or teachers. We're going to keep that kid safe. We're going to take their information that they gave us and do our research, do our investigation to go see exactly what happened.
I always tell the students to write it down, write it on a sticky note. Here you go. You can go on my desk. I don't mind at all. Like, what's yours is mine in here, guys. That kind of helps them out because it's not putting them on the spot. Hey, what happened kind of thing. It's more of like, they can just leave a note on my desk and I'll get to it when I get to it. And it creates that safe environment of I'm always here for you.
If you could get out one message to parents or students or even other teachers, what's one thing dealing with safety or a way that they could help you that you'd like to get out there?
I definitely think that in emergency situations, parents need to have patience and they need to allow the school administration and the district leadership enough time to accurately employ their investigations and then communicate what is necessary. And there also needs to be a trust component because I promise you, I've worked 19 years in this district. I have 3 children. My husband also teaches at the high school that I'm at. I have never felt unsafe. I feel like Chesapeake Public Schools has always made safety and security a top priority.
I would agree. I'm a Chesapeake Public School alumni. I graduated from Western Branch High School back in the day a little bit, and I've always felt extremely safe as a student and as a staff member today. I do think it's all about communication. If we can communicate and work all effectively together, it's going to build that strong net community. And I think we already have that in place. It's just making sure we maintain it.
I think one thing parents can do to help foster what we're teaching the kids in the school systems with safety is like reiterating the importance of why do we do the fire drills? Why do we have lockdown set? Why do we have tornado drill set? Why is the student ID badges now a thing for elementary now going into middle school? For them to reiterate what we're already teaching them in school. And I know our schools host like programs at the beginning of the year with information sessions so parents can learn about like these new ID badges that come out, what their purpose is, but having them reiterate the purpose because kids are like, they're going to be hesitant to change. Change is hard for all of us, even as adults, but kids especially because they're so routine and they like expectations set and routines followed. So when something gets thrown at them differently, they need that consistency and that routine to build up the reasons why. Like we tell them what to do, but telling them why is a good thing as well.
The open, honest conversation. I would say one last piece too, to stay away from social media. Social media fans the flame and it incites hysteria. I would say if you do have a concern, just to communicate with your school administration via email or a phone call, but to stay away from social media.
Thank you all for coming in, for your dedication, not just to teaching, but to keeping our schools safe. So thank you so much for sharing this information with us and our community.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Hey, we're back with you now, and joining us is one of our school resource officers, Officer Ellison from Great Bridge Middle School. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. My name's Dave Ellison. I've been with the Chesapeake Police Department now for 15 years. Pretty much born and raised in Chesapeake. Graduated from Great Bridge High School a very long time ago. So I'm a product of Chesapeake Public Schools. My father taught in the system for 38 years. My stepmom taught in the system for 34 years. And I've had 2 children graduate from Chesapeake Public Schools. One is a proud graduate of Hickory High School and participated in the Teachers for Tomorrow program. So yeah, very proud and excited to be a part of Chesapeake Public Schools.
So you're back home with the Wildcats then.
I am back home with the Wildcats.
So with that, take us through a typical day of a school resource officer at Great Bridge Middle.
Typical day for me, I'm arriving at the school just before 8 o'clock. Checking emails for anything that may have come in overnight, anything that may have been reported. Right after that, I'm heading straight to the bus ramp, and we're out there to receive the buses. We hold everybody till about 8:35. 8:35, we are releasing everybody, and everybody's coming into the building. So after that, we're just waiting for additional late buses to come in, as we do have a few each day. So I'm typically out on the bus ramp till about 9 o'clock. After that, I check in with the administrators and the office staff to ensure we don't have anything, I'm needed for assistance. And then it's pretty much roaming the hallways throughout the day, being seen, being visible. The biggest part of my job is making sure people know that I'm there. I'm in the hallways for every class change. I'm in the cafeteria for all 3 grade level lunches, 6th, 7th, and 8th. I'm releasing tables, getting kids up to get their lunches and just communicating with them. And then I'm back out on that bus ramp at the end of the day, assisting getting them on the buses and out safely home.
So why do you think it's important that you're in the cafeteria?
One of the biggest things for me is it helps me build relationships with the kids and students. And by going table to table, I can pick up on things that they're talking about. It could be something simple about a topic of music. I could see something on their sweatshirt, a concert that they've attended, and that's an opening for me. So, hey, that Luke Bryan, when he was here, it was pretty popular. We had a large student population attend that concert. So there's a lot of Luke Bryan T-shirts and sweatshirts going around. So talk to them about that concert. And then next thing you know, you're just in a conversation. They don't see you as, yes, they know that you're the officer and they know that you're there to assist them with any needs that may come up law enforcement wise, but they see you as a person and you're having that interaction and you're talking about topics that are important with them. So that's what I like to do. I talk with them in the hallways, talk with them in the cafeteria. I attend all of our sporting events at the school, all the PTA functions, the school dances, I'm there. So it allows me to interact with them and they get to see me just as being a person. And I love that interaction with them. I think it's important.
Right. And how do you encourage them to speak up if there is a concern that ever arises from these interactions that you have?
So I know somebody touched on earlier in the podcast that you have discipline assemblies at the beginning of the year. And I'm fortunate enough to where my administration brings me in and allows me to talk on some of the different topics and things that we see, not only from the school level, but from the law enforcement perspective. And during those particular times, I reiterate the fact that I have an open door policy. And my administrators and staff are amazing. And they know that anytime a child has an issue going on and they'd like to speak to me, they make sure that I'm available. And I always make sure that I'm available. I have an open door policy. And by building those relationships and talking to them in the hallways and in the cafeteria and at the sporting events, and I know you mentioned earlier the PBIS stuff, I have the ability to hand out behavior points too, and they love it. So just having that communication with them makes them feel like they can come talk to me. And I do have students that come talk to me on a daily basis, which is pretty cool.
You're right in the middle. You're in the mix of it all. What would you say is one of your safety concerns from law enforcement right now that you might be seeing in the schools?
So I will tell you two of the biggest headaches that SROs see year to year is obviously one being the vaping issue. We know that it's not good for you, but we don't really know what the long-term effects are going to be from some of these things. And I can tell you that there are a ton of manufacturers out there now. And it's unfortunate that they kind of market these things in these bright packaging and colors and flavors. And we all know that they're not supposed to be marketed for kids. And they say they're not marketed toward kids, but they see these bright packages and sometimes they get curious. And we've had a hard time, not just here in our locality, but school districts abroad. We're seeing an uptick in these vaping issues, and we really don't know, once you break it down, all these dangerous chemicals that could be in there or inside what they're inhaling, and we're just concerned about their health. So we talk about that a lot. We bring that up in the school discipline assemblies at the beginning of the year, and of course we have different aspects or time periods throughout the year. We address it with the kids. We just had a changeover, a new semester, and we're in the middle of redoing school discipline assemblies now. So to reiterate everything that we talked about at the beginning of the year. But the vaping issue is a big one, and probably our biggest nemesis is social media. Kids that are doing inappropriate stuff on social media, sending inappropriate content on social media, saying inappropriate things or making threats. And a lot of times people don't understand that those potential things, they may not be malicious at the time, but when we go back and look at them, we have to take them serious. For example, people know it's not okay to threaten somebody. However, if you threaten somebody, and it's submitted electronically or it's submitted in writing, it changes the ball game a little bit from the law enforcement perspective, which takes it from a misdemeanor to a felony charge. So we always encourage our parents, I know I do, to constantly check their child's phone. They got to remember, kids will always say, well, it's my phone. My parents don't need to be going, no, it's not your phone. Your parents are the adult. They're paying the bills. It belongs to them. And just to make sure that there's nothing going on.
Well, there's an uptick across the United States with threats to schools. If parents or students hear of a possible threat, what do you think is the best avenue for them to take?
So I'm glad you asked that because we get quite a few of those throughout the year. The biggest thing is we do have parents that go through their child's phone and they'll see different text threads with sometimes 10, 12 different kids. And it may be something small, like, somebody threatening to beat somebody up. We don't want parents to assume that we've been made aware of it. Sometimes we have, and the situation may have already been handled. However, there are times where people say, I'm sure somebody else has reported it. And then it could potentially turn into a bigger issue, which we could have probably solved and handled if we knew about it up front. So take the time to talk to your kids, take the time to go through their phones, be engaged in what's going on. And if you see something that's not right or something that doesn't sit well with you, trust your gut. Don't wear that burden. Notify somebody and let us look into it. We'd rather take the smallest thing and investigate it and ensure that there's nothing going on, that everybody's safe, than somebody not say anything at all and it turn into something down the road.
Yep. So the best strategy is notify that trusted adult. Say something, we've heard that, or use the Let's Talk report line, and don't go on social media and spread that rumor.
Right. And then there's also, you got to save the evidence. You got to screen capture and save the evidence so that you can report it, right?
Absolutely. And we tell our student population, find that one person that you trust in the building. It may be your teacher. It may be one of the support staff in the office. It could be the nurse. It could be a counselor. It could be custodian. That one person that you trust. And it may not be somebody in the school. It may simply be mom or dad or your uncle, aunt. But tell a trusted adult and let them make the decision on where it needs to go from there. But obviously, we want to know about anything that could potentially be a safety issue, even if it's something that stems from outside in the neighborhoods that potentially could be brought into the school because there's some animosity among students. So we do want to be made aware of anything that's going on, just so that we can take measures and make sure that everybody is safe.
Well, I know this is about safety, but Officer Ellison, what's the best part of your job being a school resource officer?
Just being with the kids. I enjoy it. The interactions, you guys know, you see me at all the events. I'm at all the sporting events and the dances, and I could easily, find an officer to work those events, but I don't, because I love my kids. I love my population. I'm very blessed to be at Great Bridge Middle. I'm very blessed to have an administration that I work extremely well with. We are a family, and in every sense of the word, safety is, it takes a village. It takes everybody. We all have our roles. We all support each other. Again, right from the administrators, the guidance counselors, the nurses, the custodians, the support staff. We really can't do our job to the best of our ability without each other. Again, I'm very blessed to be where I'm at, and I really enjoy my job.
Well, it sounds like y'all are on the same page. You got a nice team working together, not just for the education side, but for the safety side, because again, that's the most important thing, is keeping our students safe. Officer Ellison, I just want to give another heartfelt thank you for all that you do, and all the school officers that are out in our schools keeping our students safe.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
As you just heard, ensuring everyone's safety is a collective responsibility, and reporting potential threats is one of the best ways to help protect our community. If you see something, say something by sharing your concerns on our CPS report line and Let's Talk platforms available on our website and app. You can also use the Chesapeake Crime Line, and in any emergency situation, call 911. Thank you for tuning in to the stories behind our story on this episode of Amplified, the Chesapeake Public Schools podcast. To hear more, visit us at cpschools.com/amplified, and be sure to subscribe or follow us wherever you get your podcasts.